Hey everyone, this is Christine, and today I've got some tips for you for basic stamping as well as a few extra tips for stamping specifically with your Foxy Fix stamps and inserts. So here are the things you're going to need along with your stamps. You'll need a selection of acrylic blocks, and it's good to have a few different sizes of these. The small ones are good for these tiny little icons. Your medium-sized blocks are actually going to work with most of your stamps, so those are probably my most used ones. I have a large block here, which is helpful when I've got stamps that are a little bit longer. And then this long and narrow one definitely comes in handy if you're going to use any kind of border or divider stamps. Now, when you take your stamps out of the package, you're going to notice that they're sandwiched between two pieces of acetate. And one side is clear, and the other side has black printing on it in the same outline of the stamp. So you're going to gently peel off that clear piece. Do not throw this away. You're going to want it later for storage. And then select the stamp that you want to use. And when you pull that off, you're going to notice that it's got two sides. One side is kind of ridged, and that's where the ink is going to go. And the other side is nice and flat, and that's the side that's going to adhere to the block. So you get your acrylic block of choice, you lay your stamp on it, kind of press it down gently, and you're going to be good to go. Now, of course, sometimes you're going to have these stamps that are a little bit longer and more flexible, and they can be hard to get on the block straight. So rather than lay them down on the block like I just did the first one, I like to turn them upside down, set them on my table, and then set the block down on top of them. That way the stamp is not distorted in any way, and it's nice and straight and even. Now, of course, you're going to need some ink. I've got two different inks here. They're both pigment ink, but one is a large pad and one's a small pad, and I use a little bit different technique for each one. On the larger ink pad, I like to take my stamp and very, very, very gently and lightly tap it onto the ink. Tap, tap, tap. Do not press, do not squish. Check it after a couple of times. Make sure that the stamp is evenly covered. And then you're going to gently but firmly apply pressure onto your stamp. You don't have to squish it down really hard. You do not have to rock it back and forth. Just gentle, even pressure is all you need to get these beautiful images. Look how perfect that is. They're so pretty. Now, with the smaller ink pads, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, of course, to tap the stamp onto the pad, so I do it the other way around. Very gently take your ink pad and tap it onto the stamp. And again, do not squish it down really hard. If you over ink your stamp, you're going to get a really blurry, kind of squishy image, and you're not going to be happy at all. Just very, very lightly tap, tap, tap until that stamp is covered, and then again, firm but even pressure all the way around, and you'll get a beautiful image. So lovely. Now, when you're done stamping, you're going to want to clean your stamps off. So I just keep a plate nearby with some damp paper towels, and I just tap my stamps on the damp paper towel. You can see there a little bit of that purple ink coming off. And then I have a dry towel, and I just tap it off there to dry it. You don't want to rub or sort of, I don't know, rub your stamps up against that paper towel or use like a cloth that you rub on it, because you could tear those stamps if you're not careful. Now, you'll notice that my stamps both kind of look like they still have ink on them, and that's okay. Most stamps will stain a little bit over time, and that's perfectly normal. And in fact, I like to think that my a little bit stained stamps just means that they've been used and loved. When you're done, peel them off, put them back on that acetate, replace that backing, and you're good for storage. Now, for your Foxy Fix stamps in particular, I like to use these gridded blocks that I got from Michaels. These are Recollections brand. All four of these came in one package. I'm not particularly endorsing Recollections, but I do like the grid. It makes it very easy to line things up really neatly in my bullet journal, and if you're like me, you like everything to be nice and neat and tidy, so that's kind of a big deal. So I do like to use those gridded stamps. And if you're using the Foxy Fix inserts, of course, this is a book that's stapled, and you see that it's not, if you just open it, it's not really even. So I always sort of fold back the cover to make it nice and flat That's going to help your stamping. You really want a nice flat surface to stamp on. Those are going to give you your best images. Now, you see in the beginning of the book, the left side is a lot thinner than the right side. So I like to use this small cutting mat that I got at Michael's, and I place it underneath the side that's thinner, and then that gives me both sides are even, and also that left side that I'm stamping on is nice and flat, and my chances of getting a good image are greatly increased. Now, one other note about stamping in a book like this: when you are stamping very close to the center stapling portion, if you place your stamp in the center of the block, like I have here, and then set that block down, you're going to see that part of that block overhangs to the other side of the book, and that is going to make it difficult for you. It rocks, it's uneven, you're going to have a hard time getting a nice crisp image. So what I always like to do when I'm close to the binding of my insert is place my stamp very close to the edge of the block. You're going to see here that, hello, Christine. Yeah, there you go. Reposition that. Okay, here we go. So put it really close to the edge, and then when you set that stamp down, there's not going to be any overhang from the block to the other side, and you're not going to have to worry about those other pages or that binding getting in the way. Now, of course, if I went to stamp on the other page, I'd have to move that stamp over so that I would have the same deal on the other side. But you guys, that's pretty much it. There's really nothing more to stamping than what I've just shown you. It is really pretty easy. I hope that you guys give it a try. If you've never stamped before, it will open up a whole world of creativity and fabulousness for you. To find these wonderful stamps and inserts, please visit us at foxyfix.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.